Okay, second series of the day. We've got the 1-2 bracket again. The loser will go home coming out of this game. We've got Mad Lions versus Weibo Gaming. Mad Lions lost to an NA team to get down into this bracket, so they cannot be feeling good playing against China. Even though it's their number 4 seed, China just been super, super strong. And Weibo's actually looked playable. They've looked okay, whereas Mad Lions has been kind of shaky, just very average at best. Going into the draft, we've got Poppy, Maokai, Oriana taking some of the OPs away. Zaya, Jarvan, and Azir being matched. Again, either Zaya or Rakan should be banned as a red team in most cases. Early pick, we had Kalista and then pairing it with Vi and Ari. Ari being a little bit bizarre. We don't think Ari's that good right now. Vi is also kind of a step down from the other champions that are available. We are answered by a Renata Rel to start. Very interesting combination to start off the game. You're saying Renata, you're threatening Draven at that point, and you're saying, hey, we might just go Draven and just fight you toe for toe with the Kalista. But then with the Vi Ari picks, we're saying, okay, you know, maybe we want someone that has this that can sit a little bit further back. Ends up going with Aphelios. So with this Rel, you're looking for huge team fights and disengage already. Going into the next phase, you're trying to get rid of the champions, the hilly specials that can blow up team fights and kind of change the rules of the game. That's why Pyke and Blitzcrank go by. Kalia and Silas as well. We end up with a Soraka to pair with Kalista. Soraka, a fantastic laner, but traditionally doesn't need to be with someone like Kalista. Kalista wants to have someone to hold down. So it'll be very interesting if you're just taking two alphas, even though they're completely different. We'll see whether or not they're able to get that gain for themselves, especially into this combination. And Cassante to be steady up in the top lane. Aatrox being used to answer. Now, Cassante can play this matchup super aggressively and just get inside and then use your W to respond to Q3. We'll see whether or not that ends up coming up in the top lane. And we're going to have these Nico plays, all right? As always, could do a little bit of flexing around, but most likely just going to be Rel in the jungle. And so, without further ado, let's check out the game. All right, on to the Rift. Again, this, I swear, every time that they do this cinematic, it's with the Infernal. Maybe they just have that one saved for when it's an Infernal game. Maybe they're trying to like get people to be like, oh, it's Infernal, we gotta watch the game. There's an Infernal dragon. I don't know. Maybe not so much. Light has been performing pretty well for Weibo. Here we go. Early aggression from Hillisang going up and getting some stacks here. Obviously, this is Edge versus Relic Shield, so we're going to have an extra 60 gold here from Soraka. They actually step up and they punish this ward being placed. That being said, that ward is now down, so it is a position where Weibo could potentially try to take advantage, or we might see Soraka pick up a sweeping lens, take this away, and try to use the extra advantage to get faster spikes to their levels. That will change whether or not the level 4-5 spike happens at the same time. So they will hit level 5 faster, and they don't need to spread out the minion rewards in order to get that. So we'll see if they do that for themselves. Yeah, sweeping lens actually being picked up here. So there is a chance that they just go straight to this thing. They also might just leave it there because it's a way for Kalista to start jumping ahead of the wave. So there may be no rush to kill it. All right, toe-to-toe right here. Iski saying, I want to battle. I think the Nico's going to win that fight. Anytime that you can get that spell as Nico placed on top of the Ahri, you get such a tremendous push advantage because it will clap down onto the wave and deal all that extra damage. Soraka getting a 2-man Q, responded with nicely by Crisp, so he doesn't even take damage. So shields the damage, but you still end up getting that healing back. A good little response by Crisp to be nice and quick, saying, oh, yep, we're caught. Okay, here we go. We'll just answer this. This is what we want to see from the Cassante. Super aggressive right here. Those cooldowns from Aatrox are super long in the early game, so you can take advantage. What you don't want to do is just let him hit you once per wave and get one cycle of Qs per wave. You want to go in, get up inside him, and get your second rotation of spells. So Chasey doing very nicely for himself right now. Also going to have the push advantage, and with Rel and Vi pathing from top to bottom, we could see Cassante actually get themselves a tremendous advantage and lead up in the top lane. Now we do have a dive setting up. We could go, or are they just going to turn it into extra pressure? Kalista, Soraka just so strong against Aphelios. Rel could be looking to answer this, but you see how they have this ward out for themselves right here. Also, Vi is in position to answer, right? So Vi's can keep on farming, but is in position to go for this play. We'll see whether or not she comes over. Often you'll see this champion come and hover while they try to get this pushed, or ensure a freeze, right? So one of the two things needs to happen before Vi can be comfortable leaving. Sometimes you'll see hex flashes from Rels, and they'll use flash early on their jungle pathing and then have the hex flash available, or they'll just flash this and go for the play from there. Yoya not realizing that he's on a ward means that Nico has the inside track. This is a very bad situation for Elyoya. You don't want to get in this fight because that's going to take away Callista's advantage. So you're going to continue to see them side over. Elyoya should just get out of this situation. Comms need to be in place that Xiao Hu has already moved over. Vi finally gets the memo and backs out and probably recalls. Yes, we'll go and recall and play for top to bottom pathing again. But Rel gets that one advantage for themselves. Because somehow the Shy has turned this back into a positive situation for himself. How has this happened? A little bit of sneaky power still in the clip, if you will, for Cassante. He's got the biscuits available, so he's going to go for a little bit of spike right there. This is very important for Cassante to be able to use all of their mana for all of their spells. Oh, big chunks right here. That's a ton of damage. Not only that, but it basically wipes out the caster line, making this easy push for Nico. So individual, we're going to have some outplays right there. Basically getting inside. Again, would like you to see you go much further in. Get in there earlier. Use that W more proactively. The Shy is just taking over this lane now. Okay, this is exactly the situation that you want as the spot lane. You are stronger and the wave is frozen. Now they can't step up. Nice long lane will always favor them. Niski teleporting into the turret. Very, very greedy. Gets himself chunked out again. So we're just talking about player gap right now. Xiao is just taking it to Ahri. This is going to turn into a very big problem for them because Vi got pushed off of the bot scuttle already once. Now Ahri's got a bad teleport coming back into lane, so they're going to feel super, super conscientious about their HP bars and not really looking to try to get any synergy in the most important part of the map, the jungle mid synergy. So we'll see whether or not this snowballs into other situations. Elyoya also going to have a slow 6 with all of this. I'm not going to call it random pathing. Oh, we're going to have a solo kill here. Maybe? The level that these guys play at, guys, insane. Using animation cancels to get Niski to try to use a spell, trying to get them to juke in one direction before landing the Q, does end up hoodwinking them, and Ahri needs to use flash. So now Ahri has no resources, no flash, no teleport. Nico's going to be solid enough to just stay here. Does not even need to go for a recall. Ends up taking plates. Can go for the recall now. Is going to turn this into an item advantage for sure. Ballista, Karzi stepping forward, gets himself rooted. That means he's going to get follow-up CC'd by the Rel. Chain CC means that they get that kill and first blood for themselves. And we have the Renata. Oh my goodness. Renata almost turning that fight. If that kill gets consolidated and he comes back to life, we would have been talking about a vastly different situation. But still, the fact that they get first blood, Nico is dominating against this Ahri, has a significant stat lead now on top of that plate for themselves. And the Shy seemingly just taking this matchup over. Once we hit this like level 5 through 7 moment, this is where this matchup evens out, and then it'll start swinging over in favor of the Aatrox. Sante just cannot do enough to fight through all the healing. Beautiful up front. You're good. You've won. You don't need to do anything here. Karzi going for a Q flash, wanting perhaps to go for a Q reset, but that's just, it didn't even hit. Right? It would have been into the shield if nothing else. If they were trying to bait the fight, maybe that would be something. Maybe the comms weren't there with Elyoya. But either way, that turns out being an int. Now we have to come back to the game. All right, 3-2. They get a kill back for themselves. Pick one off on Renata as she moves into the jungle. Vi Callista going to have a lot of presence here. But Nico is just absolutely crushing this Ahri, so that means she's going to move over, and Ari's going to say, no, I'm weak, I'm weak, I'm weak. Probably a miscommunication, because this, even though you've been getting trounced, it hasn't turned itself into a huge item lead yet, and you can fight back for that, right? Especially with Renata being dead, you might be able to go. There's not like there's going to be a big level 6 coming in, but Aphelios hitting 6, the fact that Renata comes back in means that up. Niski just getting clapped right now by Xiaohu. The Zhai is spacing everything right there, playing just outside that range, saying, all right, I dare you. When you try to land your spell, I'm immediately going to jump on you. I know my range is better than you, or I'm faster than you. Putting Chasey to the test. Now, we do have level 6 from Vi. This is normally your first window where you go for a big play. We're going to see Q over this wall. You need to be very careful about the angle. It needs to be this line right here. Like they're playing just far enough back. Now the wave is pushing out. Now I'd like to see Vi actually continue over here. And this is where I'd like to see Ahri just not go back to mid. And instead just go straight back to bot lane. Or not back to bot lane, right? Have yourself path here. Vi's over here. Ahri can tuck herself into this. And then you can have a chance for this. But instead, Vi recalls. Ahri goes mid, which means that they walk themselves into a 2v3 situation. They're going to get punished for overstepping. Vi, you're going to say like, wait, Vi, I thought you were right here. You know, whatever it is. Assume that there was a call in place. But if the call's in place, like again, we're seeing this phase where you're missing a step. Elyoya needs to go forward, help them get the crash into the turret so that they don't just get walled into this situation. So both times that they end up going for crashes, we see Rel just coming in, cleaning up, sweeping them into that spot. We're just seeing vastly different levels of execution right now in this early game. And just team synergy, right? What they're looking to do, the objective is very clear for them. They are making tons of plays. Chasey getting a little bit of something back for himself up in the top lane. See this trap? Are we going for the play? We're not going for the play? All right, yeah, we're going for the play. We get it. Up front, like this, kind of a couple side steps, moving yourself a couple times right before casting the spell, making the angle a little bit different, giving yourself a better shot upstream. But this play is impossible if Vi just hovers. If Vi hovers, they turn this and they flip it, right? And she just goes in ultimates onto light, and they lock them down, and they get this kill to start the fight, and then you can actually use Soraka Callista proactively. Good job by the tandem right here. Actually, very surprised not to see an armor item from Aatrox to try to react to this, right? You've got triple threat on AD. Normally you see an early plated steel caps into a situation like that, but opting to say, no, I want my early gore drinker. I want to take over the matchup right at 12 minutes. I want to just get it and flip it right then. Not spend any time. If you do spend that moment to get the boots, it will take you a little bit longer. You're talking about like a 14 to 15 minute mythic, but you tend to be much safer. And in this matchup in particular, where Cassante is still strong at 7, right? You're not completely looking to outscale. After gore drinker, if you have plated steel caps and you survive that long, then you can use the gore drinker, and then from that moment on, you're untouchable. But in this, we see, like that window, you can still beat up on an Aatrox. Going for a little bit of a hubris execution. Look at that play. Beautiful positions by Chasey, showing, I mean, you can't do this on Cassante anymore, but showing expertise of the 13-19. Cassante allows himself to get a very good beginning to that fight, and it's in time to play together. And that's what it means to synergize, right? Vi wasn't even close to start that, but you bring the Aatrox back. Vi was here. They start moving into the fight. You draw it out long enough, and then you're supporting your laner so that they can make a play. Every time that you're going into the jungle, we need to be thinking about how close am I to the actual play? Am I actually supporting them or not? And both times that we saw Vi down here, we ended up seeing recalls or leaving or moving into the river and leaving them out abandoned as they're trying to crash their wave. Both of those times it gets punished, so we want to see Mad Lions adjust for that going forward. All right, there's a moment. You see what Ahri did there? Landing the E. Pause for a second. So right on the arrival, you hit the charm, and then see how she immediately casts the Q? If you can get immediate and you're unimpeded and you can go off and you know the charm's going to hit, so you can go ahead and throw the Q, that's fine. But you notice how there was some extra travel time right there? If we're talking about the difference between being able to flash or not flash in response to this, right, there are windows, especially post Merc Treads, where you actually want to hit that charm and then step back a moment, just a tiny moment. This is something Faker does. So you throw your charm, then you step back to here. then you throw your Q, and it basically double taps them while they're at the max range of the charm, as opposed to having it go like it did, which was swinging past them from the same position, and then it has some travel time coming back, and there's, if they have tenacity, then they can use that to flash out. Now, you're not going to try to flash the back half of Q2 right here, so it's not so important, but it's worth talking about right now because that's just something you always want to do if you're the Ahri. You always want to do this right so that they don't have those windows. You want to make that part of your pattern of playing the champion. All right, K'Sante getting inside of Aatrox once again. This is what we're talking about. You can just constantly jump inside, and especially since we have a completed Iceborne Gauntlet versus no resistances here, we're going to see K'Sante taking over this matchup until that Gore Drinker and Plated Steel Caps are completed. All right, any rotations to talk about? 10 seconds to the Dragon. Ahri was able to get the wave in. Ahri does have superior wave clear eventually, right? She's just able to one-shot essentially the back line and two-shot the wave with 2 Qs. So they do rotate over into the river, but they actually don't get anything. We actually have this little Connect 3 board set up. Hold on. Aatrox getting aggressive here. This is not the window for you, my friend. Sidestepping perfectly. Is he going to outplay this kill? He completely outplays Chasey under turret to get the solo kill for themselves. K'Sante beat the Shy. That was something else. Rumors were that the Shy was back on form and he's just playing at that level again, same as when he won the World Championship in 2019. Last time he was in Korea, you know, and this is his home turf, right? This is his home park. He did go over to China and has been playing in China on those big contracts. One with Invictus Gaming, now he's coming back with Weibo, and they certainly have the inside track for this game with that kill. Nico having a huge advantage here. We are hemorrhaging CS down in the bot lane. Kallista's always going to have that kill threat, but like we said, has been punished twice. So we're talking about 2-0-2. Despite being down 27 CS, you're actually going to be fine with item parity. We're going to see those items picked up as soon as they clear these waves. 14 minutes into the game, everyone in the game should have a completed item plus boots or a item and a half. That means that the AD carries have to get out of bot lane and they'll start moving over. Inside track here, Nico getting first push or first rotation over, Ahri taking a recall, Soraka also out of position, which means these dragons will belong to them. And that's a little bit concerning because they're going to be very happy scaling as well. Normally you want this Kallista lane to take this big advantage for themselves. Oh, we're going to get to see this fight. Here we go. Chasey playing on the inside, all out once again. Does give up some of his HP to get that. The Shy flashing away to try to get some more cooldowns. The move speed bonus is here. Dodges Q3 to get the attack off, to get the shred, and then hit the sweet spot on Q3. Gets Triumph as well. Beautifully executed. If you are an Aatrox or K'Sante player, watch that back again. Sure that you see all of those windows, how Aatrox played around his cooldowns. Dodged around long enough to get those up. All right, Nico's using Pop Blossom in response to Vi. Vi does have to flash out, gets the maximum amount of turret shots, and nothing else. Okay. Well done by Weibo to survive that. Good dodges by Hylissang. Are we going to have a full dive here? K'Sante's not in position. We're going to wait until someone takes aggro. Once one person takes aggro, we'll see the teleport here. No, K'Sante's late. No one's coming in. They've got aggro. No, never mind. That was just the Nico. Okay. The teleport comes in, which means that they're going to pull back out, and they're going to call that a win. Now that they've gotten the teleport down, they've already used most of their weapons. The fact that they're healthier means that they get this push for themselves. They might look for another engage, but probably just going to reset. They have all the vision. They're in that tri-bush, which means that they are comfortable to rotate out through it, whereas blue team is not. You see that they don't know what's going on there, so they have to decide and make a calculated decision to just let K'Sante stay for this wave and rotate out. We'll see whether or not they spend any amount of time with Kallista pushing for the top wave. You can play Kallista into Aatrox and try to play for that advantage. Basically dodging inside and outside of his sweet spot range. But they opt not to take that. I would have liked to see that proactive play. Right now in mid lane, this is a very long lane for themselves. And with Soraka moving over to the Herald, Ahri going against Aatrox is just fine. It's not nothing special. In fact, like, you have to be very careful to not get hit by these combos. Niski getting chunked. Niski not putting nearly enough priority this game into not getting hit by enemy abilities. We saw it in mid lane with Nico. We saw it with Aatrox right there. Ultimate is coming up for the Aatrox, which means they're going to have to seed this Rift Herald. And basically they get nothing by trying to spread out the lanes a little bit too much, going to like the standard approach. They end up getting exploited by just superior play. Nico flashing into position at the last possible frame. Absolutely love that. They get the Kalista to start the fight. That means GG for this fight. Ward lines go down. They'll get the Rift Herald for themselves. We'll see whether or not they go for 2 turrets. They'll probably step back. They're just going to take the tempo for themselves. They could easily do it. Yeah, Rel's actually getting deep wards. She's going to put herself in a good position, making sure that there's no wards behind them to worry about flanking teleports. They're worried about Ahri's timer. Ahri is the one who's already in the lane, though, so she has to be the one to step back. So they get another 1,000 gold for themselves. So that's an extra 1,500 gold in their pockets, on top of taking the Herald, on top of winning the fight. Fantastic win. You see right here what happens to Carzzy. Carzzy missing his flash, bricking it into the wall. Obviously, that needs to be something that you make sure to hit. But you see the most important thing. You see how they're running away from K'Sante that whole time? K'Sante was trying to track, so they're like, okay, nope, we'll continue the fight into year 3 and keep on moving the fight in a direction that favors us. We'll keep our good position. We never give K'Sante any utility in that fight. We know that Aatrox is here. K'Sante is not to start it off, so we're gonna take it to you. And Mad Lions gets punished for having their top laner in bot lane with no teleport, and they go after the Herald. It really made no sense, guys. That play needed to be, you hold this wave, Ahri can push, that's fine. You can send Kalista into the Aatrox lane. Go ahead and knock this turret down because it's so close anyways. Then you swap those 2 lanes. In the meantime, maybe you get enough pressure here, but K'Sante should have been rotating over as well. You don't want to be glued to that bot lane for a wave. You just want to be there, clear it out, boom, rotate over to your team. Instead, they don't, and Weibo takes advantage, and they've got a tremendous lead now, 3K in pocket. Not what you wanted when you picked Kalista. You wanted, and they picked Aphelios. You wanted to take it to them. This is something we saw a lot at last year's Worlds, which was just, okay, you want to take the aggressive laner, fine, we'll take Aphelios. Just play super far back. Renata being much more popular this year than Lulu. Lulu's a little bit gutted. Did get a little bit of help on the most match. But how Aphelios is able to just play disengage, you come to me, eventually you overstep, you'll get dealt all of this AoE damage. But largely this game's coming down to Xiaohu and the Shy just gapping their opponents right now. Chasey did fine, but the Shy ultimately with that big outplay under turret, then he took it, outplayed Niski. Niski's now been outplayed by both of the laners, so absolutely needs to be better on that front. Now, control ward advantage right here. We have 2 right here for red team, means they're going to have the advantage in this fight no matter how you cut it. On top of that, they do have the lead. Good positions. You see this front to back. You see the 2 melees up in front, Kalista in between. All right, they do spread the fight out to one side. They say, all right, we've got one angle on the fight, but they're not able to get 100% of the health onto Aatrox, which means he will be able to heal up a big chunk of it. We'll see how teams reposition for the fight. Vi goes in for the dragon, but it's going to get knocked up by the Pop Blossom. And now you see this, half the team's going back, half the team's staying forward, which means half the team is dead. Guys, that cannot be the prize. Congratulations, you got a dragon. Now you lose this and you lose the game. This is not how you play for dragons. This is not how you approach the game. You need to play for the Baron, not for the dragons. You can only go for the dragon win if it means that you're going to be alive or ahead for the Baron fight. Instead, they've got nothing. Kalista gets separated from the team once again. Superior positioning again from the Chinese team, and then they move over, pick up the Baron. See this good formation to start. They think they've got an angle on Aatrox. This is a beautiful ward. This is a good job. Carzzy would have loved to jump over this wall and continue this fight on this side. That would have been okay. Then Chasey could have held down this edge. I'd like to see Chasey positioning right here to allow his team back into the formation. But instead, 2 people get knocked up, and now you have split calls, right? Ahri is dealing nothing. Kalista is dealing nothing. All 5 champions on red team are dealing damage. That is the difference. All right, endgame technique. All right, we're 3 minutes 42 away from the dragon, so we might end up with a slight 1-3-1 moment, and we can end up with 4-1 here. Try to get this pushed in, get for the vision on this side. If they don't think that they have enough time to do it, they'll just do it on this quadrant, not try to go cross map. This is an exposed base turret, so sometimes you do want to go after that, but you have to keep in mind exactly how much time you have, what you're trying to get done. In this case, the clear objective is these 3 turrets to start. They're leaving the long lane. I like that Cassante is up there. No real business trying to defend against this. Would prefer Callista to be the one up there, frankly, right? You can get that damage, but obviously with no teleport, they just don't want to give up to engage. Now we're going to have turret down. Aatrox dutifully push this one. We've got good rotations. Look at the wards that they've left behind for themselves. Control wards in the jungle, making sure that they have all sources of vision. Anyone who's trying to get behind them. Now take a look at all these remaining wards, though. There is an avenue for Cassante to teleport in behind them. I want them to take it if they find any sort of avenue. The Shy fronting all that damage, heal tanking his way back up. Karzi on the wrong side of the fight now. Going to have, oh no, getting hit by Aatrox Q1. Never happen. Oh, he's going to get snapped back. That might be death. That's chain CC from Rel. Oh, ends up cleansing coming back into the fight. The turret is down though. We'll see if they redraw their lines or whether or not they get caught overstepping. Rel Aatrox. You see how they make this line for themselves every single time. Rel Aatrox making 2 pivot points, right? Trying to go off, so make it so that this carry can deal maximum amount of damage. It's a flank even in a small window. Q-Flash to try to deal some damage onto Karzi. That's a really big reach. That was not necessary. Counter engaged by Nico. Gets a 3-man knock-up into Aphelios. It looked like they hit everyone, but yet no one. We'll have to see that in slow motion. But yeah, Weibo just taking over this fight. Karzi just never able to do anything. Ari never able to contribute. Meanwhile, Light has been ripping people apart the whole time. And certainly Zhao, who has been playing a great game. Second ultimate is available here from Vi, but she's off by herself. There's nothing really to accomplish here. Team is just going to back off, move together. They've got the protection of that control ward, that they have it for themselves. Now, something that ended up happening, remember how there were 3 control wards over here? They end up moving those control wards to try to defend in this base struggle. Sante with a beautiful knock-up, getting 2 people knocked up, but Nico taking that moment to step back forward. Rel puts a big shield up for herself. Big damage, the dash over. Yeah, so we end up, just didn't see it the first time around. Flamethrower. That's what Aphelios brings to the table. Up front team fight splash damage. Sivir and Zaya, they do it over time. Aphelios does it right away. That big chunk, and we have another explosive Aphelios game here. And largely, when you think about it, Light hasn't tried to do anything special this game. All it has been is, okay, I'm safe, I'm positioned, you play into me, you overcommit into me. My team supports, right? Weiwei deserves a ton of credit for the flanking that they've been able to do and the 2 punishes under the turret. But Mad, right, if you just change this game, if you get rid of those 2 over presses in the bot lane, then they'd actually just be walking away with a 20 CS advantage over the Aphelios, and maybe they still would have had that kill threat. Instead, giving those 2 kills over means that even though they're missing on the CS, they are way ahead in experience and able to just take this game and do whatever they want with it. We actually see a second item, Lord Doms, here from Aphelios. Normally you don't see that until a little bit later. Not enough stacking going on, but obviously Cassante is going to be rushing all sorts of armor items, and even Vi will have some extent. We'll see how they try to play this, whether or not they go off for an engage. We see Pop Blossom actually leaving El Yo-Yo alone for the dragon. Again, like, you're inting for this dragon. Your team is going to get wiped now because there's only one. Oh, never mind. You're just surviving? Okay, no. Takes it down. Congratulations, you got the dragon, but now your team is 3v5. So you're absolutely going to get a second inhibitor down. Inhibitor is worth way more than the dragon is, meaning that they are going to get pressed out in this position. You're going to see Aatrox or Nico look to come in from this angle while the team pushes in with 4. Sometimes you'll bring them both in together because they complement each other so well. End up doing exactly that. They move over. Nico just repositions herself again. Saying, I don't need to come in from the obvious spot, right? Using Fog of War to her advantage. And 2 inhibitors down with Baron up. Means that we're going to see an immediate comeback out. They're going to use these hex gates. They might even use the second set of them to go back out onto the enemy side of the map. Fight again. Sang getting beat up. Xiaohu not really hunting for the support here, but saying like, all right, any amount of people could be in that foggy bush, so I want to move in with my ultimate so that I'm dealing the maximum back. But as we can see here, right, carries on the map. There was going to be no other threat. That was always just a plan for Vi to int for that dragon to try to prolong this game. But frankly, prolonging the game is not going to help you that much. You could have played with just one weak spot on the map and one dragon versus 3, and you would have had a teleport available, but now you have supers in 2 different lanes, which means that Aatrox just gives a little bit of a nudge here. Then he walks down bottom, gives a little bit of a nudge here. Those will become game-ending threats from those lanes. When done best, you're going to try to make these push at the exact same moment. So that means holding on to a wave here, then going down and fast pushing down here. Try to make it so that you have 2 supers in this position. That means that they go forward as they enter the base. That's when your team can go for the Baron. In this case, they just say, yeah, we're strong enough. We don't need to wait. We don't need to check all the boxes. Let the supers kind of build up on their own. Take the Baron anyways, because Aatrox will always have the flank, right? If you try to threaten us, Aatrox will come and just push you all. And now we have a double cannon wave, a little bit over pushed, right? Again, it's ahead of these waves, so they could have done themselves a favor by slowing down the push. By having found herself potentially a nice little angle here. Like what they're doing, they have to make a decisive play, because if nothing happens, the game ends and they lose. Right? They have to make a decisive play. It needs to be now. Supers are going into the base. They have to make the play right now, otherwise it's too late. Parsi stepping forward. We've got an engage onto Aphelios. Everything's going forward. Gale Force to the outside. Aphelios not only not dying, but basically full health once again. They take this fight. Aatrox threat is just too great, and they can't do enough. I like that Callista stepped forward, trying to make the attention about her as Vi's coming in, but Aphelios not even close to dying in that.